All right. Well, it's 2 o'clock New Zealand time, 12 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time. So um, welcome everybody to this webinar, whether you're in Australia or New Zealand. Good afternoon, good morning, welcome. This webinar is hosted by SiteConnect. We're a digital health and safety provider who are across both Australia and New Zealand. This webinar is all about paper to digital and how to begin the journey to become audit ready. I am joined by myself, obviously, Jack. I'm Director of Sales here at SiteConnect. I've been working, helping organizations transform their digital or begin their digital journey for health and safety. And I'm joined by Teresa Harper.
Hi everyone, nice to for you to join us today.
Yeah. So look, to kick off, this next slide is really to have a quick look at the agenda. So what we'll be covering today. Whether your current setup is putting your business at legal risk, what's holding most businesses back from our experience being a digital provider from actually going digital, how to evaluate and choose the right health and safety management system, as well as what success might look like within only 1 week of using SiteConnect, and quick wins to get audit ready with using our software. So look, I appreciate all of you guys on this call are either involved in health and safety or health and safety professionals yourself. So I won't spend too long talking about this part. However, let me ask you a question. Is your current safety system protecting your business, or is it putting it at risk? Because across Australia and New Zealand, over 40 million in fines are handed out to businesses each year. And not because they didn't care about health and safety, but because their systems couldn't prove it when it counted. Even well-organized teams can get caught out by paperwork, bottlenecks, inconsistent reporting, or just not being audit ready when an inspector walks through that door. So the question I have for everyone on this webinar today is, if you had an audit next week, would your system actually have your back? Let's talk about some red flags. And I will actually launch a question here for people in the polls and quizzes section of the webinar, which you should hopefully have seen now pop up on your right-hand window. So let's talk about some red flags. First, outdated or missing safety policies. You know, the way in which your team works can change. So it's important that you don't have cookie cutter policies or processes. You know, are you actually reporting enough incidents? If things aren't being properly recorded or followed up, that's potentially a major compliance issue. And how easy is it to update your worker training? Are the workers involved in the process? Unclear safety responsibilities are another risk. If it's not assigned, it's potentially being ignored. And if you don't have a formal risk register, observation process, or hazard review, you'll struggle to show a proactive approach. So how do you actually fix it? Here are some practical steps. Look, which all start by talking to a certified safety consultant. Get expert help tailored to your business. They typically start by running a gap analysis to see how your practices actually stack up against legal standards. And yes, you could even use ChatGPT to stimulate an audit or score your actual system as it stands. So ask yourself, if WorkSafe walked in today, would you be ready? Don't wait until you're on the back foot. These fixes are actually quite simple and quick to start. So paper-based systems might feel familiar, but they're also full of risk. Some of the common challenges I hear as sales director here at SiteConnect when speaking to prospective SiteConnect clients are illegible handwriting, Building charts and graphs manually is time consuming. No reminders or automation, as well as engagement in the health and safety process, can be very low. Digital systems, on the other hand, give you real-time visibility, automatic record keeping, and instant access during an audit. It's not just about going paperless, it's also about protecting your people and your business. And actually, a great example of this in action with the SiteConnect system is how a worker can instantly access the hazardous substance register right from the mobile app with the relevant SDS. So the next piece that I wanted to talk about is a real life example of a residential home builder here in New Zealand. Look, 6 years ago, group home builder Genuine Homes moved 31 franchises across New Zealand onto SiteConnect. They were actually relying on physical document boxes like the one pictured, that big red box there, to manage all of their safety and site-specific information. But those boxes weren't actually waterproof. Paperwork was getting wet and sometimes even destroyed. That meant lost records and unnecessary risk. With SiteConnect, they went almost fully paperless. Not only did it solve the issue of data loss, it also gave them a smarter way to manage their health and safety across their entire business from the office. So obviously all of that sounds great. It's clear that there's real benefits involved in going digital. But from my experience, businesses may have some initial interest in going digital, but they sometimes don't always fully commit to the process. Here are some of the common objections I hear. Too expensive right now. Our current system works fine. We're not ready yet. There are higher priorities in our business to deal with, or even our workers won't adopt digital apps. They're computer illiterate and they don't want to actually do this process. But what I believe, or what we believe, is really going on is there's underlying areas for concern here. So too expensive right now may actually mean many don't factor in the long-term savings from fewer incidents, faster reporting, and less admin. Then there's potential leadership misalignment. Some decision makers don't prioritize safety unless there's been a recent scare, as well as fear of change. That's a big one too. People don't worry about disrupting workflows or pushing staff out of their comfort zone. And potentially that change is challenging for them to commit to. And finally, cultural complacency, that old she'll be all right attitude that's prevalent in Australia as well as New Zealand. It's common, especially in high risk industries, but it's also risky. So this one's really close to my heart, and I really genuinely thought that it was relevant whilst we're talking about how to get audit ready, because a big part with digital systems is actually choosing the right software for your business. Now, it doesn't take much more than a Google search to, realize that there's hundreds and hundreds of options out there. Some are local, some are not. Some are for bigger softwares, some are not. And if, looking at systems and optimizing processes isn't your day job, it can be quite overwhelming and intimidating on where to start. And a lot of businesses get it wrong right from the start by jumping into a software without really knowing what they need. The key question is, why is the business actually looking? What's the biggest pain point that they're trying to achieve or solve? As well as really building out your research and going for not the flashiest features or the newest integration, but really focusing in on what matters. So ignore the bells and whistles. Now, I've put in an image here of a Toyota and a Ferrari because when it comes to choosing software, think about it like buying a car. Sure, a Ferrari looks amazing, but do you really need one to do the school run? The same goes for digital systems. Start by asking, what do we actually need? Get input from the people using it daily, such as your frontline teams, not just your managers. Know what needs to be standardized and test those must-haves during demos. Be ruthless about cutting the flashy, nice to haves, and always come in with a checklist or spreadsheet of requirements before speaking to vendors, or otherwise you might just be driving off with the wrong car. Here's an example of a requirement spreadsheet that I've cut and pasted into the webinar presentation. Really, really interesting because again, I typically probably run maybe on average, let's say 12 demos a week. The amount of clients and customers I speak to that actually don't have a list or don't have a requirement spreadsheet that they've built out is quite shocking. So my advice would always be start with a list, even if it's not as comprehensive as what you see here on the screen. Just having a checklist of maybe those 5 things that you really want to achieve and categorize them. Are they must-haves? Are they nice-to-haves? And really build that out. The other piece as well that I wanted to touch on here is what are actually the different types of safety software? We already talked about how there's hundreds of options out there, but when we actually look at the different types of safety software, what do they actually mean? So we've broken it into 4 different key or core categories. First, you have disconnected safety systems. Now, what I mean by this are systems that maybe just do audits or just do contractor management or visitor management, and they're standalone, non-integrated systems. And often you might find a business that has started going down the digital route, but they've gone and purchased multiple disconnected systems because they're quick. And I guess, they solve a problem. But actually, as you start to buy disconnected systems, they can become more expensive. Then there's the other category of software, which is the out-of-the-box safety management system. And actually, for those that don't know SiteConnect, that's where SiteConnect fits in. Really for businesses that want to take the next step up in their health and safety digitization journey, but also don't have the budget or the onboarding and time to implement a mid-market HSEQ management software. So, for example, the price for SiteConnect would start at $4,000 per annum, and typically will peter out at 20K per annum. So, depending on the size of your organization, it is a very affordable solution, and that's really where out-of-the-box safety management systems combine all of those disconnected systems like sign-in, contractor, digital forms, and put it into one application, helping you obviously get pathway to audit ready. And the other one is mid-market. So mid-market software, typically for organizations with over 200 employees who might be looking to combine health and safety, environmental, as well as quality. And then finally, we have our ERP type softwares. So this could literally be on a software like SAP or a Microsoft tool like Dynamics, and it fully integrates everything, including governance, risk, psychosocial. And this is really built for larger organizations with teams over 1,000. So again, think about what kind of software you need for your business now and your goals. Onboarding obviously takes a huge part of all of this. Disconnected safety systems, quick to onboard, out of the box, quick to onboard. And the final 2 will take a lot longer. So mid-market, typically 6 months. An ERP type solution could take well over a year. Now I'm going to hand over the webinar to Teresa Harper, who is our onboarding and training and safety manager advisor, who is going to really talk about what it could look like to onboard a digital tool and how, of course, to get closer to being pathway to audit ready with SiteConnect. Thanks for listening.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. As Jack has introduced me. I've been with SiteConnect for about 5 years now and over 20 years experience in helping small to medium businesses in managing their health and safety processes. My role at SiteConnect is to help new customers get started and get the most out of the platform from day one. Getting started is often the hardest part of making a change. So today I'll take you through how we help businesses start their journey to get audit ready with SiteConnect in just 7 days. So our first one is setting up the account. As Jack mentioned, SiteConnect is an out of the box tool. That means that once your account is created, we can get straight into the process. We begin with a discovery call and a training session to get to know your business and set a solid foundation. So the discovery call. During the discovery call, we'll talk through your current systems, the challenges you're facing, and what you're aiming to achieve. More often than not, businesses come to us to move away from paper-based processes. They're looking to digitize sign-ins, inductions, safety forms, toolbox talks, SWIMs, and how they manage their documents across the sites. From there, our main goals are making the transition to SiteConnect straightforward and as simple as possible, getting everyone comfortable and confident in using it, making sure you've got the knowledge and the support that you need. Training. Next, we run a few training sessions. It's usually 3 to 4 1-hour sessions. Some customers like to get through it in a day, and others prefer to spread them out over a few weeks. We'll work around whatever suits you guys best and what meets your needs. Each session covers 2 to 3 key features, and we finish with a review to make sure everyone's lining up with your business needs. We always encourage people to jump in and give things a go as we go through the sessions. That's kind of like the best way to learn. Um, and the core modules that we cover are time and attendance, digital forms, risk and safety, and contractor management. So just moving on to building digital forms. Once training's completed, we will move on to uploading your digital forms for you. SiteConnect comes with a range of pre-built templates based on industry standards, and you can use them straight away, or you can provide us with forms that you've already been building or used, and we can build those for you or help you to build them, or we can tailor them to suit your setup. Contractor management. This is the next step is uploading your contractor documents, which can be done at account level, utilizing the pre-qualification feature, which is really easy and simple to use for both your administrators and also for the contractor administrators as well. In fact, they can just click on a link from an email that's sent to them. They don't even need to log into the web portal. And then at site level for site-specific documents, we can upload documents against the sites. You can do that, and so can your contractor admins. And you can also rate those documents or change the statuses of those documents. So if there's something not right, you can reject it and get them to resubmit. Your contractor management is something that you will handle, but we'll show you how to do it during training. And if you need any help at any point, we're always here to assist you. Go live. We've got our user guides available in the web portal and app. They're really clear, practical, and easy to follow. So if you need a quick reference or a refresher, they're easily accessible for you. Outside of onboarding, our support team is always available. If anything comes up, whether it's a technical issue or you just want to double check something, we're just a call or an email away. We also run webinars and keep you updated on new features, improvements, and best practices to make sure you're getting the most from the platform. So in short, onboarding is just the beginning. We're here to support you over the long term, whether that's through extra training, check-ins, or feedback sessions. Our goal is to help you get real value from SiteConnect and support you in achieving your safety and compliance goals. Three quick wins that you can get from using SiteConnect is, first of all, your site management. So this provides all your connected users with instant access to crucial site information, including evacuation plans. So they can just go into the app, click on what they need to see. They can even contact your first aiders or safety managers directly through the app and get in touch with whoever they need to speak to. Real-time communication allows for automatic notifications and safety alerts. So if there's something happening on your site that day, maybe you've got a crane arriving, you can send an alert out to everyone on that site and let them know what's happening in real time. It also enables seamless information exchange between both yourselves and your workers. And the last one is our risk management. So this is a really key one for me that I love. So we've got safety observations, hazard identifications, and incidents. They can all be reported in real time, and you can also manage your risk register, digitally within the app, and you can update that in a second, which will update all the information within the site. Safety observations is something that we brought into play probably about a year and a half ago now, and we've found that our clients have really embraced this. In fact, their incidents have come down substantially since they've been using safety observations, which is really great because it means that our software is working for them, but also it's so important because it means that things aren't happening on site and people aren't getting injured. And I've had personal experience with that myself where I've been on site and saw a young man that I actually knew had small children cutting silica board that had silica dust in it with no protection, no face mask, no dust extraction. And I asked him, why are you not wearing a mask or using dust extraction? And he said, oh, I've just left home in a hurry and, I didn't have time. And I said to him, well, do you know the risks of not using your PPE? And he was like, oh, yeah. And it was just like really upsetting for me because I didn't want him to be lying in a hospital bed in 20 years' time and not getting to see his children and his grandchildren grow up. And I think that we so often feel aggrieved when we see somebody fall off a roof and kill themselves, or somebody loses an arm or a leg from machinery. But we don't think about those people who are lying in hospital, and there could be hundreds, maybe even thousands of them, who are suffering from diseases that they've been exposed to from the workplace. So yeah, I really love our safety observations and being able to report information back in real time and create actions and follow up as a result of that. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your attendance and hope that you've gained some positive information from our webinar today.
Thank you, Teresa. Look, and just to round it off today, just wanted to highlight, yeah, that I think when looking at systems, making sure that they're easy to use, that ideally they're not disconnected and they are all in one and provide, multiple solutions. Uh, and finally, cost effective and quick to set up. And if you do all of those, you're absolutely going to be on a pathway to being audit ready, because everything is stored in one place, securely in the cloud. And the best thing as well is if you do evaluate SiteConnect as a part of your digital transformation journey, you're not alone. Already we have 65,000 users across Australia and New Zealand using the solution, and in a multiple of different industries. Got a number of case studies that back up what we say as well. So thank you again for listening to us this afternoon. And I will now leave the floor open to any questions. Okay, great. I see a question, which is workers are hesitant to use apps, and how do you tackle that? Um, So look, to answer that, I totally agree. Workers can be hesitant to use apps. Then you'll notice that one of the bullet points that I mentioned previously around workers driving the decision for digital software. I believe that it shouldn't be the worker that dictates whether the business goes digital, if in fact it's been proved that digital is going to help the business become a safer, more compliant place to work for that worker. But I do believe that bringing the worker in to the evaluation in some respect is going to add a lot of value. I think trialing the software and giving them a few options to actually bring them in and get them involved in the decision-making process. That could be done via a safety meeting or a toolbox where you could simply say, hey, we're thinking about going digital. We're looking at these three options. What would you like to automate, or what would you like to speed up? And depending on their answers, maybe that's the incident process, maybe that's the toolbox talks, maybe it's something else. But you could then create a demo environment where they can actually test that feature and give you feedback. Yeah, so this is another good question. I'll answer this one live. If you are already using some application, how easy is it to migrate to SiteConnect? So there's a number of tools in place to make the process really streamlined. So what we can do is we can actually upload historic data, such as your sites, your employees, your risk registers, as well as even historical incident information as required. So although there will absolutely be some work, especially around digitizing forms, but you'll notice that during the onboarding process, we'll actually help train, but also build 5 forms on behalf of your business, and help you get up and running as quickly as possible. Um, Yeah, so this is another question. Using SiteConnect will make me compliant for sure. So I guess the question is, would SiteConnect make you compliant? At the end of the day, SiteConnect is just a system. It does the same thing as a paper-based system. It's trying to keep your business compliant by ticking the right boxes and be proactive with reporting and communication. The 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 great thing about having it on a digital application is that it puts it all onto one place, making it easier to follow the templates, the workflows, and the best practice processes that have been built within the application. So if you start using SiteConnect next week, you're already going to be on pathway to making those improvements. And to answer the next question, which is, we work with a lot of contractors. Can you talk about contractor management a little bit more? So contractor management is actually one of the core pillars of the SiteConnect health and safety management system. What we can do is actually bring on all of the contractors that you work with. And with our pricing model, they don't actually have to pay anything, which really helps with the engagement. You also don't pay for your contractor users. We don't class them as users within the software. The other core piece here is SiteConnect is what we call a multi-tenanted software. So a lot of your contractors may already be using SiteConnect with some of the other SiteConnect clients. So it creates this ecosystem. So if you are working with a lot of contractors in your industry, it might just be as simple as connecting them up. And I actually was working with a building company last year who brought SiteConnect on, and they found that 85% of their contractors were already using the software. And they do it to induct their contractors onto sites and into working safely at the organization. managing permits and digital forms, as well as managing pre-qualification. So putting all of the insurances onto a portal and ensuring that before they come to work, they are actually qualified to be there. The next question is, can we directly upload our existing forms directly, and what is the process for that? So the process for uploading forms is actually around building them. So we have a digital online form builder that allows us to build 5 of your forms for you as a part of that onboarding process. But we'll also train you to help you customize and build those forms so that you've got full autonomy over those forms in your health and safety management system. You can pick from 12 different field options and use a drag and drop form builder. And those forms, of course, can be exported into a PDF folder so that when you are coming up for your audits, you've got everything stored in one place, centralized and site specific when necessary. Brilliant. That was a great round of questions. Thank you, everybody, for engaging with those, and thank you again for your time. If you would like to see a demo of the software, don't hesitate to head over to our website, SiteConnect.io, or scan the QR code on your screen now to book a demo. And I'd love to meet with you and understand your needs, requirements, challenges, and potentially evaluate whether SiteConnect is a good fit for your organization. Thanks again.